Hello and welcome back to CMS Forex News. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I'm your market analyst Nick Nassad. Today is Monday, February 16, 2009. The Japanese economy contracted at an annualized pace of 12.7%, the worst quarter since the 1974 oil shocks, and was down 3.3% compared to the third quarter. The end of 2008 saw the global economy fall into a severe and synchronized downturn, which has collapsed demand for Japanese exports. For the quarter, exports are down 13.9%, which adds to the pullback in domestic spending by companies and households. Expectations for the first quarter numbers are not much better, as fundamental data is not showing any significant improvement. The Aussie-Yen pair fell to start the global open on Sunday, drifted lower in overnight trading, though today saw a lack of volatility as the U.S. celebrated President's Day and U.S. banks and the stock market were closed. The 59.50 level acted as resistance in the middle of last week, and today acted as support. Stocks in Asia were down, increasing a risk aversion, which benefited the yen. In New Zealand, producer output prices rose 1.4% in the fourth quarter, while input prices fell 2.2%. Lower fuel prices helped push down input costs, while output costs were led higher by dairy prices. The New Zealand dollar-US dollar pair fell overnight, and in New York trading was testing its low from Friday around the 0.5260 level. In addition to the weak GDP data from Japan, risk aversion, which hurts the Kiwi, was boosted by the weekend G7 meeting where ministers said the severe global slump will persist for 2009. In the UK, the Rightmove House Price Index showed sellers up their prices by 1.2% in February, which was smaller than the usual increase around this time. That put housing prices about 9.1% lower than they were this time last year. The pound-yen pair fell to start the global Monday session and reached as low as 129.60 at the start of the European session. The pound recovered from there to trade near the 130.70 level during the New York session. The pound-dollar pair fell to test support at 1.4150 to start the European session. It then counter-rallied 150 pips, bouncing down off resistance, which was support last week. Non-residents of Canada reduced their portfolio of Canadian securities in December to the tune of 2.8 billion Canadian dollars, removing an unprecedented amount of bonds from their holdings. Canadian investors, meanwhile, sold 6.4 billion of foreign securities. In a second release, manufacturing sales fell 8% in December, which is the biggest decline since this series began in January of 1992. Tonight, Japan will release its Tertiary Industry Activity Index, and the RBA posts its meeting minutes. Overnight, the UK releases its CPI, Germany and the Eurozone post their ZEW economic sentiment, and the Eurozone unveils its trade balance. Tomorrow, the US has three releases: the Empire Manufacturing Index, a measure of capital flows into and out of the US, and the NAHB Housing Market Index. And that wraps up today's edition of our broadcast. Thank you for joining us here at CMSFX.com, and happy trading.